So this was just one last thing that he asked him one last question about Americans worrying that he's authoritarian in a way no president has been. And this is how he responded.
What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
No, I would hate them to think that. I'm doing one thing. I'm making America great again. We have a country that was failing. We have a country that was laughed at all over the world. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe. I have editorials just today where they're saying they've never seen anything like it. They love it. Our country's coming back, and we're respected again.
Okay. Again, don't believe your eyes and ears. It is the most essential command of the party. He's just going to keep doing this as the country goes into a ditch. As the shelves empty, he's going to say, and he says this at other points in the interview, yeah, well, it's going to take time to reset after so many years of people ripping us off. He's going to keep saying that, and you're going to have a smaller and smaller pool of people who are going to be willing to accept that. But as people's finances just completely get driven into the dirt, you're covering UPS today, right?
Yeah.
20,000 workers laid off at UPS. We just showed you the numbers on unemployment claims. You're seeing signs in the broader economy, like the McDonald's numbers of people cutting back on spending. He's just going to keep selling this line, oh, greatness is just around the corner, for as long as he can get away with it.
Yeah, and on top of being a liar, he's also, I think, what that MS-13 Photoshop mix-up really proves, almost beyond any doubt, is that he is extremely impressionable. He believes the last thing that the last person told him. Which is why, Bill Maher said in his conversation with Trump would actually probe him. Hey, what do you think about this issue? Because I think he actually does lean on people for input.
Right.
He's like a Cosmo Kramer in that way.
Right.
You could probably convert that guy to communism in a few hours if you showed him the right shit. Right. And I think the Photoshop thing really kind of proves that. And so when he talks about, I'm getting editorials saying things are going great, he probably is. He probably is being spoon-fed shit by the real diabolical bastards around him, Stephen Miller and whoever his chief of staff is, who's Wiles, right? They could show him anything. When he starts about, he'll come off of the debate stage.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, they're saying I won the debate 90%. I'm sure there are online polls at junk sites, hillarysucksballs.biz that show him winning the debate 90%. I don't think he knows the difference, certainly not at first glance anyway, between that and a reputable scientific poll. I really don't think he does. I think if you can't tell that the letters MS-13 are photoshopped on, then I don't think you could tell the difference between a good poll and a junk poll. I really don't. So I think you have a combination. I think you have a pretty dangerous combination of a guy who doesn't care what the truth is on top of a guy who's really not equipped to determine what the truth is.
It's a good question because you have to have some knowledge of what the truth is to lie as much as he does. Because very often it's pretty clear that it's not just that he's been fed false information. He's just lying. He just lies all the time.
He does do
that too.
He
just constantly
Absolutely.
lies. He was asked about Doge at one point in this interview. And he goes, oh, yeah, they've saved $150 billion. Trump didn't forget the $2 trillion promise.
Right.
He's going on about waste, fraud, and abuse. I almost included it, but I didn't want to drag out the segment. He says, because Moran asks him, so are there referrals for prosecution if there's all this fraud? I remember at one point, the story went away very quickly. Elon was claiming there was somebody who was getting hundreds of checks from Social Security that they were about to arrest. Have you seen that arrest? Where is that arrest?
Right.
So Moran kept pressing him. So there were referrals. And finally he says, yes, there were referrals. You really think there were referrals? If there were referrals, you would have heard about it. You would have heard about it because they would have trumpeted it to the heavens. So clearly they didn't find all this waste, fraud, and abuse they claim if there has not been a single arrest. Not a single arrest. No welfare queen got dragged out of their house. Nothing. So that's where I would hesitate to present him as a babe in the woods, because he clearly lies with intent and foreknowledge frequently. One could say constantly.
Yeah, I think it's both, and I think depending on the
Sure.
circumstances, in certain instances, it's 75% of one, 25 of the other, and in some cases, it's the inverse of that. But yeah, it's definitely a combination of the two for sure.
Please clap.